Welcome to Ryan's Repair and Supply tutorial on how to repair a DCI style quick clean syringe. This is one that has a little push button here that will allow you to remove the tip very easily. Push it in, tip goes back in, pull out slightly, it locks into place. The one main issue that happens with these is the O-ring inside of this tip goes bad. And what that causes is when you use the water and then switch to air afterwards, you'll get a burst of water sprayed out with the air. And that's because the tip O-ring has gone bad. So we'll show you how to repair that today. The first thing you want to do is you insert a hex key into the spot where the syringe tip normally goes, and that just literally unscrews. You notice I'm covering over the tip, holding it into place, because it will fall apart. And there's two main portions that come out of there. You have a spring, and you have the tip insert itself. We'll set those off to the side to start. What we're going to do first is remove the O-ring. You can actually see the O-ring that we're talking about right back there. We remove that O-ring by simply putting the syringe tip in, wiggle it around, and it normally comes out on the tip of the O-ring. There's the tip right there on the tip of the syringe. That's the one that we're going to be discarding. And we'll get a new tip O-ring. Take that small little tiny O-ring and just drop it into place. It just drops in there, and then what you have to do is you have to take that same 5/32 hex key and normally just push it right back in like that and make sure it's fully seated in there. There's your O-ring fully seated. There we go. You can see it back there. So we'll set that whole assembly off to the side. The second portion we have to work with is there's on the tip assembly itself, there's a little O-ring right there. And that O-ring is a little difficult to pull off. Basically, you just work at it until you can get that O-ring off. After you've done it a few times, you learn little tricks to it, but kind of hard to explain those tricks. So here's that O-ring. And there's the tip with the groove for the O-ring. And basically what we do at this point, grab a new O-ring, line it up. We'll just push it over top of it, and it'll actually fall right back into place. We want to make sure it's in that groove, though. You can see it there in the groove. Now we take the syringe spring and put it on the tip assembly. Now there is a little groove right there you can see that lines up. If you look closely, you'll see a pin at the bottom. Those two have to line up together. And the easiest way I found to do this is just to line them up and then just push your thumb all the way in, and that tip insert will go all the way back in there and hold. And at that point, you just insert your hex key and screw the tip insert in and give it a little bit. It doesn't need to be very tight, but that's all you need on it. And now we test out the syringe. And as you're doing all this, make sure you clean all the parts up. Many times just a simple little Q-tip across the parts will clean it up enough to make it work very well. Clean the parts. Sometimes there's a little bit of debris on the outside edge of the syringe tip insert itself, and you can normally clean those with a small little green Scotch-Brite scouring pad. That normally works very well for those. And that's the basics of repairing the tip insert of a DCI style quick clean syringe.